Every single day, you take your dog outside for a walk. And every single day, without knowing it, you are teaching your dog to be more anxious, more reactive, and harder to control. Not because you are a bad owner, because nobody ever showed you what a walk is actually supposed to look like. By the time this video ends, you will walk out that door differently. Come on in, boy. Welcome home.
If you want to be the owner your dog actually needs, subscribe right now.
Let's get into it. 1. The leash length you are using is working against you. Most people grab whatever leash came in the starter kit, clip it on, and head out.
Without thinking twice, and that single decision is quietly undermining every walk before it even begins.
Here is what is happening. A standard retractable leash, the kind that extends up to 5 or 6 meters.
At the press of a button is one of the most common tools in dog ownership. And one of the most misunderstood. When your dog is allowed to move freely at variable distances.
From you, their brain receives a very specific signal. There is no structure here. I am operating independently, and an independent dog on a walk is a dog that has not been given any reason to pay attention to you. The research backs this up. A study published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science found that dogs walked on shorter, fixed-length leashes
showed significantly higher rates of attentiveness towards their owner compared to dogs walked on retractable or long leads.
Attentiveness is not just about obedience. It is about the dog actively choosing to stay aware of where you are and what you are doing. That awareness is the foundation of every single improvement you are going to make in this video. That distance keeps your dog close enough that they feel your movements, your pace changes, your stops. They start reading you passively, the way they would read a member of their social group. And when a dog reads you, they begin to follow you instead of drag you.
There is also the equipment on the other end of the leash to consider.
If your dog pulls and you are using a flat collar, every single pull is placing direct pressure on the trachea, the cervical spine, and the vagus nerve. That pressure, repeated over hundreds of walks, can cause chronic discomfort. And in some dogs, what veterinary physiotherapists describe as a reflexive forward lunge response.
The collar itself is training your dog to pull harder, not less.
A properly fitted front clip harness or a head halter redirects the pulling force to the chest or the muzzle, removing that feedback loop entirely. It does not fix the pulling behavior on its own,
but it stops you from accidentally reinforcing it with every step. Get the equipment right before you even open the front door. Everything else builds on top of this. Stay with me, because point 2 is where most owners make a mistake.
They repeat twice a day, every single day. 2, you are letting your dog decide when the walk starts.
And it is costing you the entire walk. Watch what most owners do the moment they reach for the leash.
Their dog begins spinning, barking, bouncing off walls, and the owner clips the leash on anyway.
Opens the door, and gets pulled down the front steps at full speed. By the time they hit the sidewalk, the dog is already operating at a level 8 out of 10 arousal. And a dog at level 8 does not learn. A dog at level 8 does not listen. A dog at level 8 is simply running a program. Here is the science. Dogs have what behavioral researchers call an arousal threshold, the point at which their cortisol and adrenaline levels are high enough to override their capacity for decision-making. A 2019 study from the University of Lincoln found that dogs in high arousal states show measurably reduced response to trained commands, not because they forgot the commands, but because the prefrontal processing required to execute them is being outcompeted by the limbic system. In plain language, a hyper dog at the door is not being stubborn. Their brain is simply not available. The fix is not complicated, but it requires patience the first few times. Before you clip the leash, ask your dog for a sit. One quiet, clear signal. If they cannot sit, wait, stand still. The moment their excitement drops even slightly and they offer you eye contact or a brief pause,
That is your window. Mark it, clip the leash, and walk calmly to the door.
if they surge toward the door, stop. Every surge resets the clock. The door does not open until there is at least 3 seconds of loose leash. And calm body language. This is not about dominance. This is about neuroscience. A dog that exits the house calmly starts the walk at arousal level 3 instead of level 8. And a dog at level 3 can hear, can respond to you, can actually benefit from the walk you are about to take together. The first 2 weeks of practicing this will feel slow. Then one day you will reach for the leash and your dog will sit before you even ask. That is the moment you will understand why this matters. Keep watching. Because even if you nail the start of the walk, most owners make a structural mistake in the middle that erases all the progress they just made. 3. You are walking your dog when you should be letting your dog walk. This sounds like a contradiction after everything you just heard. It is not. There is a difference between your dog controlling the walk and your dog owning the experience of the walk. Dogs live in a world constructed almost entirely by scent. Their olfactory system contains up to 300 million scent receptors, compared to roughly 6 million in humans. The region of their brain dedicated to processing smell is proportionally 40 times larger than the equivalent structure in a human brain. They are gathering information at a level of detail you will never be able to access or fully comprehend. That information tells them which animals were here, how recently, whether those animals were stressed or relaxed, healthy or sick. It is a complete picture of their environment built in real time. A landmark study in applied animal cognition found that dogs allowed to engage in extended sniffing during walks scored significantly higher on optimism-based behavioral assessments afterward, compared to dogs who covered the same distance without sniffing freedom. Not calmness, not lower stress, optimism. The way your dog is allowed to use their nose on a walk directly affects their general outlook on the world for hours afterward.
But here is where Canine Guide parts ways from what you may have heard before. Sniffing freedom does not mean your dog leads the walk.
It means you build sniff time into the walk intentionally. The structure is this. You set the direction and the pace.
And at regular intervals, roughly every 3 to 5 minutes, you give a release cue. At that signal, your dog gets a defined window, between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to explore whatever they want within the leash length. When the window ends, you give a return cue. Let's go, and the structured walk resumes. This does 2 things simultaneously. It gives your dog genuine olfactory fulfillment, which is a real physiological need, not a luxury. And it teaches your dog that structured walking and freedom are not opposites. They are a sequence. A dog that understands this sequence stops pulling toward every interesting smell because they have learned that free time is coming. They do not need to fight for it. Stay with me. Point 4 is the one most dog owners have never heard.
And it changes what happens when you get home. 4, your pace is making your dog more tired in the wrong way.
Most owners walk their dog at human pace, steady, purposeful, point A to point B. And they come home feeling like they have done their job, only to find their dog still restless, still nudging toys at them, still unable to settle. And the reason is counterintuitive. Physical exertion and mental exertion are not the same thing for a dog. A dog can run for 20 minutes and come home physically winded, but neurologically understimulated. The result looks identical to a dog that did not walk at all, an animal that cannot switch off. Research published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior found that dogs who experienced varied pace walks, including periods of slow, sniff-focused movement, mid-pace structured walking, and brief intervals of faster movement, showed significantly better post-walk rest behavior than dogs who walked at a single steady pace. You are transitioning out of the house. The second third is your structured heel pace, where you set direction, your dog walks beside you, and attention is required. This is the cognitively demanding portion. The final third is a wind down, slower again, a few sniff windows, a gradual return to calm. That arc from calm to engagement to calm mirrors the natural arousal cycle of a dog's nervous system and works with their biology instead of against it. If you have a high-energy breed, the middle third can include short recall sprints, a brief tug session using a toy you brought, or a sit-stay on a bench. The point is not to exhaust them physically. The point is to engage their brain with decision-making, with attention, with response to you. 10 minutes of genuine mental engagement will do more for post-walk settling than 30 minutes of jogging. Do not leave before point 5, because the next mistake is the one that is creating reactive behavior on your walks without you even realizing it. 5. You are accidentally rewarding the exact behavior you are trying to stop. If your dog barks, lunges, or fixates on other dogs, people, or cars during a walk, you have probably tried one of 3 things:
Pulling back on the leash, saying no loudly, or turning around and leaving. All 3 of those responses feel logical.
All 3 of them are making the problem worse over time. Here is what is actually happening. When your dog sees a trigger, a cyclist, another dog, a child running, their threat detection system activates. Cortisol and adrenaline flood their system. Their world narrows to that one stimulus. And in that state, anything you do that creates pressure, whether physical through the leash or verbal through a sharp command.
Your dog's nervous system interprets as confirmation. You are also reacting. A study published in the Journal of Veterinary
Consistently increase the duration and intensity of the reactive behavior compared to owners who used a neutral leash response paired with redirection. Tension through the leash is not calming your dog, it is amplifying their signal. The correct response has 3 steps and needs to be practiced before the trigger appears, not during it.
Step 1 is threshold awareness. Learn your dog's distance. Every reactive dog has a threshold, a distance from the trigger at which they can still think.
Will your gun retune dogs' intervents? For some dogs, it is 5 meters. For some, it is 50. Step 2 is a conditioned interrupt cue. This is built in low distraction environments first, rewarded heavily, and only used on walks once it is solid at home.
Step 3 is the pattern interrupt before the reaction, not after. The moment you see your dog's ears pivot toward the trigger, their body stiffen, their tail change position, you use your interrupt cue and redirect, you are breaking the attention chain before it becomes a chemical cascade. This takes consistency over weeks, not days.
The owner walked calmly with her golden retriever. When another dog appeared, the retriever looked to its owner for guidance.
That shift is the goal, and it is entirely achievable with the right technique. Stay for point 6, because what happens at the end of your walk,
and almost nobody gets this right. 6, the way you end the walk determines how your dog behaves until the next one.